All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit, back with another video. It's Wednesday morning. Got some interesting things I want to discuss. One of the things I want to show you guys before I get to this clip on Hillary Clinton, I want to show you this clip that Malcolm X did about liberals and conservatives. And he made this speech over 60 years ago. But that will tell you how far we've come as a people because it applies to this day. Now, in the media, the big topic now is P. Diddy, Puffy. I'm not going to cover that debauchery because it's more of the same old, same old. You know, they give these guys this money and then they forget who they are and they forget who actually runs things. So it's so easy to bring them down. You have people on both sides of the aisle saying these was consenting adults that went to the Diddy parties or whatever. But in the following days, you're going to see TD Jakes and a lot of your pastors and your religious leaders and your politicians are in them tapes. You know that's coming. You know what I mean? Because the main reason that they went at Puffy was because he was having tapes and he was using his tapes to blackmail the blackmailers, allegedly. So his uh preference of who he likes to sleep with is irrelevant as that goes. But the main thing was, what levels did the blackmail reach and what did the blackmail affect as it relates to the general public? And these politicians who engage in these type of activities behind closed doors, you got to ask what's wrong with them. Because you got Bill Clinton on Epstein's Island, Hillary Clinton on Epstein's Island, Oprah. They all of the same ilk. They all of the same ilk. And when you look at this clip I'm going to show you of Hillary Clinton, this is a evil woman. This is an evil woman. And the very fact that in the black community, they have infiltrated and weaponized racism to the point to where people say they only voting for Kamala Harris because she's a black woman. And she's not even a black woman, she's an Indian woman. But just the identity politics of it all is terrible because they can only run identity politics on the black community because of our history in this country. We lack real identity and real cohesive unity. Now, you will see all kinds of manners of people in the black community. You will see Nation of Islam, you will see Sunni Muslims, you will see Hebrew Israelites, you will see Baptist, Jehovah Witness, you will see every denomination of religious organizations within one community. That's how this uh, united we are. Think about that. One small community of and a minority population that has a representation of every religion and organization known to the free world. You have black elites who identify as Greek, Alpha, and Kappa, and that is what makes them feel better than their neighbor to identify with the Greeks. So the reason I'm saying this is because you can see that it's easy to play identity politics with a people who have no cohesive identity of their own. You look at the likes of Roland Martin and Kamala Harris and the rest of the AKs and the sorors and the fraternities. They lord that over you as if that's some type of badge and honor to identify as Greek. How is that a badge of honor? To me, that only reminds you of the slave mentality, the lack of true understanding. And they going to bat for Kamala Harris because they want her in there, not even realizing Kamala Harris will never be running the government. Biden isn't running the government. They are puppets. They are the face of oligarchy and global elitists. So a vote for her is symbolism, and it's hollow and it's dangerous because she will never run the country. She can barely run a conversation. That is a goofy lady, a dingbat. And you have the whole black community divided over this Indian woman. I was looking at a video that this guy I know made, and he was explaining how Kamala Harris dominated Trump in a debate. Now, this guy, he's here in Detroit and acts as if he's some type of activist, but this guy is an idiot. He's clearly an idiot because here is a black man voting against his own interests and the interests of other black men. There is nothing Kamala Harris will do for black men and the black community. She's told you that. She said, I'm not going to do anything for black people. And she meant that. And if you think she's going to run the country and her Jewish husband is not going to influence policy, that's ridiculous to even think that. As a man, you're not going to influence policy if your wife is the president? How will you not unless you just a beta male and a weak man? A husband is going to influence his wife in everything she does unless he's beta and she's already broken him down. So this guy, and I'm not going to say his name, he did a whole breakdown of how Kamala beat Trump. And I'm just looking at him because he's a weak man. You know what I mean? And another guy that's here in Detroit on the radio station, weak. He seems like a Democrat because I've actually seen him break down in tears and cry. Could you imagine that? A man gets so upset, he's like 60 years old and just start crying like a baby. But these are the type of men that support Kamala Harris because clearly she has not presented anything worth voting for. Abortion. You know, this country is supposed to be a Christian nation. These people have all these different religions, like I told you, but they want abortion with no limit terms or third trimester abortions and transgendering and assignment of children. This is what they voting for. And open borders. They voting against everything they claim to believe because they lack an identity. How can you be a Christian voting for unaliving children, reassigning children's gender, amalgamation with the open borders? Either you're a hypocrite or you're just ignorant. But I want to show you these two clips because it's a sad state of affairs. And I want you to know, you're looking at this society turn upside down. And you're looking at an influx of immigrants who have not been Americanized. Who's going to fight your wars? Who's going to protect you since you don't respect the black man? You don't respect the black man. I live in Detroit, and if I see some woman I don't know with a flat tire in the dead of February, I'm not stopping because I don't know. That might be a Kamala supporter. She can freeze. For real, I'm not stopping. And it's going to be like that in every instance. You're going to call the police, they're not going to come because this is what you're voting for. You're voting for the destruction of the nuclear family in the communities that once helped us thrive and get to the colleges and get to where we could say we were educated and we were middle class. You're voting against the middle class. But I'm not going to talk your ear off. But you think about what I said. You're voting, most of you women who are voting for Kamala Harris, you're voting against your fathers, your sons, your uncles, your cousin. You're voting against men for a symbol who will still be ran by her Jewish husband and the handlers in Washington, D.C. And if you think that she's going to get in the White House and all of a sudden is going to whip out her sister card, I guarantee you she's going to get in that White House. And once she's in, India and her is going to celebrate. You're going to hear how much her Indian heritage helped her. She's going to turn on you because she knows you are a fool. She knows you will, if you will betray your own community, what community will accept you? If you will betray your own community. That's like a woman cheats on her husband with another man, then divorces her husband and think the other man gonna marry her. Hell no, he's not gonna marry her. He already know you're a cheater and can't be trusted. And he didn't tell you to leave your husband. He wants you to keep cheating. So it's the same thing with these politicians. They use us every election cycle. And then as soon as they're in the White House, they walk away. And then you sit around wondering if there is gonna be any crumbs that fall from the Democratic table. But she gave the Indian community billions of dollars. The AIDS is a crime bill. She has still not given you nothing. But let's watch this first clip. This is Malcolm X talking about liberals and conservatives. This for fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act for education, commentary, and the First Amendment. Then you tell me when you hear this, is Malcolm X right in what he said then, and does it apply right now?
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal. And white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the...
And what he's saying shows you that these liberals, they are the most pandering, disrespectful people, but yet they're the party of inclusion. DEI hires. They act and portray themselves to be your friend, like the Clintons. The Clintons portrayed to be black people friend, carrying hot sauce and playing the saxophone on Arsenio Hall. But they were a part of being architects of the most draconian crime bills and oppression of the black community, the very people they claimed that they were friends to. Listen, Malcolm.
Friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leaders, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains.
These are the Al Sharptons, the Joy Reids, the Roland Martins, the Jamal Bryants, the ones that they put out in front of you who've already have been given a few biscuits and crumbs from their table as they lead the rest of us to slaughter.
Token progress. In the New York Tribune, in an editorial dated February the 5th, 1960, they pointed out that out of 11 million qualified Negro voters, only 2,700,000 actually take time to vote. This means that, roughly speaking, only 3 million out of the 11 million Negroes who are qualified to vote take an active part. And the remaining 8 million remain voluntarily inactive. And yet it is this small minority, the 3 million Negro voters, who help determine who will be the next president. If who will be the next president can be influenced by 3 million Negro voters, it is easy to see why the presidential candidates of both political parties put on such a false show with the Civil Rights Bill and promises of integration. They must impress the 3 million voting Negroes who are the actual integration seekers. And if so much fuss is made over these 3 million integration seekers, what would the presidential candidates have to do to appease the 8 million non-voting Negroes if they ever decided to become politically active? They hold the balance of power. Who are the 8 million non-voting Negroes? What do they want? And why don't they vote? The 3 million Negro voters are the so-called middle-class Negroes, or high-class Negroes, or uppity Negroes, who are referred to by the late Howard University sociology professor E. Franklin Frazier as the black bourgeoisie, who have been educated to think as patriotic individualists with no racial pride whatsoever, who believe in and look forward to the future integrated, intermarried society that is constantly being promised to them by the Negro politician. And therefore, this integration-minded 3 million minority remain an active part of the white-controlled political parties. But it must never be overlooked that these 3 million Negro integration seekers are only a small minority of the 11 million qualified Negro voters. The 8 million non-voting Negroes are the majority, the downtrodden black masses. They have refused to vote. They've refused to take a part in politics because they reject the Uncle Tom approach of the clergy politician leadership that has been handpicked for the so-called Negroes by the white man himself. This clergy politician leadership does not speak for the Negro majority. They don't speak for the black masses. They speak for the black bourgeoisie, the brainwashed, white-minded, middle-class minority, who, because they are ashamed of their race, because they are ashamed of being black and don't want to be identified with black, they are seeking to lose this black identity by mixing and mingling and intermarrying and integrating with the white society. The race problem cannot be solved by listening to the white-minded, brainwashed minority. The white man must try to learn what the black majority wants. The president would be wise to try and learn what the black masses want. And the only way to find this out is by listening to the man who speaks for the black masses. And I can declare to you tonight and to the entire world that the man here in America who speaks for the majority, the downtrodden, dissatisfied black...
He was about to say Elijah Muhammad, but we all know that Elijah Muhammad is not with us anymore, and this was 60 years ago. But what I wanted you to hear and pay attention to was how the Democrats have learned to weaponize race baiting. They've learned to weaponize racism. You know what I mean? To stay in power. And they put the boule, you remember he said the boule and the Toms and, you know, the house Negroes. those are the ones who are cheering on this Democratic agenda, even though this is the most diabolical, demonic, and Satanistic regime we've ever seen in the White House. They want to terminate pregnancies all the way up until the 9th month. You know, they call Trump a lie, but most of the things that they say he lied about are easily fact checked, and you can see they are rooted in the truth of things that are actually going on that the Democrats are trying to keep covered up. Now, I'm going to show you one more clip, and this is Hillary Clinton and Rachel Maddow. Now, I want you to really look at these two individuals, and you can tell that they're evil. There's no righteousness in them. And these are the people who want to shape our communities and shape the destiny of this country. Look at them. $10 reward. Joining us now. Look at these liberals and what they are. Check this out.
Joining us now is Secretary Clinton, former Democratic presidential nominee, Secretary of State, U.S. Senator, First Lady. Her new book is called Something Lost, Something Gained, Reflections on Life, Love, and Liberty. It comes out tomorrow. I got halfway through my preview copy of the book and immediately ordered it from my mom and dad. Secretary Clinton, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's a real pleasure. Rachel, it is always good to be with you. Thank you. I am struck by the fact that as his campaign careens into very, very offensive territory, the association with Holocaust deniers and the outrages at Arlington National Cemetery, of all places, the insults to recipients of the Medal of Honor, the recent incredibly racist and dangerous lies about specific groups of immigrants, Haitians in this case, and Venezuelans in the case of Colorado.
These are two despicable people. Two despicable. Hillary Clinton and Rachel Maddow. These are the most diabolical liars and treacherous politician on one and a pundit on the other. And I can't believe that black people are falling for this with the Democratic Party. It's to the point to where if somebody say that they're a Democrat, you almost have to look at them with suspicion because they voting for the gender assignment of children, the termination of third trimester children, trafficking. They are voting for wickedness and evil, and yet they come off so self-righteous. Listen.
Struck by the fact that as much as we thought we might have been inoculated against sort of outrage tactics like that, where everything else gets thrown by the wayside and everybody starts responding to his outrage du jour, it's a way of sort of yanking everybody's chain. I sort of feel like we haven't learned, and he's still being taught, especially by the media, that the more offensive he is, the more he can dominate the media space entirely. And I feel like you've been a good diagnoser of that, not only from when you were up against him, but from what others have done. So do you have an antidote for that, or a way that people can talk?
Hillary is still mad because as bad as she talked about Trump, we still didn't want her. We still didn't want that witch. So she still can't believe that she didn't win. Nobody wants this shrew of a woman running the country. Who wants an old shrew going through menopause and every other hang up that they have as a wicked person, period, running the country? Think about this. When you look at Rachel Maddow and you look at Hillary Clinton, you know that there is nothing right about them, and they will lie in a New York minute. But yet, they race bait. You would think in this country that there are no other voters other than Black Americans. The way they pander and utilize our community. We have become totally weaponized against the conservative party. And when you see the boule and the bourgeoisie out front leading, go the other way. Because if you can't look at Rachel Maddow and look at Hillary Clinton and look at those people on the left, you can tell that they are 100% wicked, period. Anti-Bible, anti-God.
Themselves out of taking that bait? I think that's really a critical question, and I think there's a
look at Hillary Clinton ugly butt looking like George Washington.
Couple of things going on here. You mentioned the press, and sadly, the press is still not able to cover Trump the way that they should. They careen from one outrage to the next. What was outrageous 3 days ago is no longer on the front pages, even though it threatens the physical safety of so many people, particularly, as you point out, immigrants that he and Vance have decided to demonize. And I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. The late, great journalist, Harry Evans,
Now, when it comes to conservatives, media, she wants to censor it. She was just on Twitter the other day saying she wants to censor conservative media, but she wants the liberal media to keep Trump's name in there and to keep slandering him all the way till November. I'm going to tell you this. If Kamala so happens to win, you will know that that's a curse. You will know that that's a curse on this country, and it's a punishment from God. And if you are a woman that voted for abortion and voted for this, you will know that God is going to punish you for real, because you have a chance to do something righteous. I know a lot of people have lost their children, but if you can't see that when she get in office, it will usher in a punishment on those that chose the Democrats over God, country, and Bible, then you haven't read scripture. If she wins, you can best believe the world as you currently know it will no longer exist for you. The jobs that you covet and cherish will become like an albatross around your neck. And the poverty that you see in other countries and soon to come to your communities will engulf you, and you will be ultimately destroyed. Watch.
One time said that journalists should really try to achieve objectivity, and by that he said, I mean, they should cover the object. Well, the object in this case is Donald Trump, his demagoguery, his danger to our country and the world, and stick with it. They were merciless about what they saw as President Biden's, problems in the debate and calling for him to withdraw. I believe Donald Trump has disqualified himself over and over and over again to be a presidential candidate, let alone a president. The second thing, though, is
when she was Secretary of State, she left her whole ambassador in Benghazi and troops to be slaughtered. Just like how Joe Biden left all the weapons and civilians in Afghanistan. But they think that Trump should be disqualified. I don't recall Trump ever leaving millions of dollars worth of weapons and citizens in Afghanistan. I don't remember Trump leaving his American ambassador and their staff in Libya to be slaughtered. That's what they have done not too long ago. Think about it.
That part of what Trump is counting on is for people to get desensitized. I mean, oh my gosh, did you hear what he said yesterday? Did you hear who he attacked? Did you hear the viciousness? And it just like with a shrug, okay, fine, we're moving on. Well, Americans need to understand that they have to take Trump both seriously and literally. He has said what he wants to do. He and his allies with Project 2025, his desire to be a dictator.
You see how she out and out lies? That's directed toward black people because she figures we don't read or we don't know anything. Trump has specifically came out and said he has nothing to do with Project 2025. He has not even read it. Then the organization, the Heritage Foundation, that actually did do the draft of Project 2025, have already came out and said, we did this. He has nothing to do with it. This is a proposal. They speak it like it's the truth. These liars is diabolical. They diabolical. And to me, just the fact that these women are aligned with a cause playing chameleon, Indian woman playing black, who in a right mind would want them running the country, running and leading men, leading us in the world, leading us into battles against Russia. Who in a right mind would want Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, Rachel Maddow, the ilks of them running the country with Tampon Tim as a sidekick? See, I was telling you about a couple of guys I know here in Detroit. Man, they come off and they try to be so intelligent. You know what I mean? But they weak. They're weak in character. And they doing what's ever clever because it sounds good to I support Kamala for what? You can't have a terminated pregnancy. You too old right now to want to just reassign your gender. So what are you getting out of it? What do you get? What are you voting for? They can't tell you.
Least on day one, all of that is in the public record. And I believe that more Americans have to be, willing to endure what frankly is discomforting and to some extent kind of painful, to take him at his word.
I can't listen to them on Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is disgusting as a person, as a human being, as Bill's wife, the whole nine, the hot sauce thing, and every other thing that she's done because she gets on here and she just lies and manipulates the black community. As a liberal, she poses as a friend of black people while she undermined us, just like Malcolm said over 60 years ago. And I'm going to end on that note. Think about what Malcolm said in the beginning, how they pose as your friend only to deceive you. This is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Support the nonprofit, Detroit's Black Thought and Acts Collective. The Cash App is in the description. As always, salute to all patrons. Keep your head on the swivel. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.